So I'm going to be real with you guys. This video is filler content. It exists purely so I can get something out while I'm working on the MK11 critique, because that's going to take a while. So I don't like going more than a week without any new content out. So something like this is just quick. Hopefully you'll get a laugh out of it. And let's get on with it. So we're doing Roster Duster using CybernetX's MK Games tier list to decide which games deserve to exist and which ones should be erased and forgotten forever. Unfortunately, tier list maker doesn't let you reorganize the images. So here you can see MK1 is right near the end here, after the other game called Mortal Kombat, and MKX is here for MK Gold. Bruh. That shouldn't be allowed, but you can't decide the order because it's a piece of shit. So, the obvious, easy one to get out of the way first is MK3 is erased. Simply because... Wait, why is Trilogy here twice? Why the... Is it for two different versions? The person who made this, CybernetX, you confuse me, good sir and or madam. So, the reason we... Fuck's sake. Right, so, the reason MK3 is in erased forever is simply because Ultimate MK3 exists, and so, you know, since then there hasn't been a single port of MK3. Every single time MK3 has come back, other than Trilogy, it's always been Ultimate 3. I'm still not sure what these trilogies represent, so I'll hold off on judging Trilogy, but I'll put Ultimate MK3 here because, you know, it's the better version of 3. It's one of those re-releases where nothing was really lost, it's just... stuff was gained. So that deserves to exist, while Vanilla 3 just doesn't. I mean, Vanilla 3 didn't even have Scorpion. Like, imagine a Mortal Kombat game without Scorpion, or Katana, or Melina. If Melina's not in MK12, I'm not buying it, bruh. Melina needs to be in every single Mortal Kombat game. She is Mortal Kombat. That's just fact, bruh. So now let's get on to the action games. Well, Shaolin Monks has a lot of story problems. I did start that Cannonball where I talk about the story. I had to put that on hold to do the critique, but I will be making that after the critique. That'll be the next big project. Trust me, that one's going to be like 40 minutes because of how much there is to say, and I might even be adding a discussion about the new animated movie as well, because that also adapts MK2, but then if we did that, I might have to go into the Malibu comics. I don't know. The story has a lot of problems, but gameplay-wise, it's really good. I mean, I don't think anyone would deny that of the 3 MK action spin-offs, Shaolin Monks has the best gameplay, right? Now I'm going to let Mythologies stay here for now. That can go in TBD. So can the Trilogies, actually. Trilogy and Trilogy can go in there, and so can Sub-Zero. So Special Forces can go. No one cares about that in terms of story or gameplay. Just get rid of it. But this one's got a pretty good story, and what he sets up for MK4 is also important. So I'm going to leave that for now. So then we have the MK4 series, 4 and Gold. I have heard some people say they prefer 4 over Gold, because I think the new characters in Gold weren't as well balanced. I think I've heard some about the graphics being not quite as good, but I prefer Gold. 4 is the first MK game I ever played, but I didn't like it that much, but when I played Gold on the Dreamcast, I liked it a lot more. Yeah, there's that. So I'm going to, Gold has... in its endings, there's actually more story development than there was in MK4, because it has Cyrax's ending and Katana's, which are both canonical. Then you look at base MK4 and it's like, I mean, well, there's Scorpions, which directly sets up Deadly Alliance, so I guess that is technically more. Moving on. So then we have Deadly Alliance, the duology, because Tournament Edition is the second half of the GBA port, which left most of the characters from Deadly Alliance off. It's only like half. It's just a little over half the roster. So Tournament Edition is the other half. It's got Scorpion and the 2 sorcerers, and then the rest of the cast is the characters who were left off the vanilla one, plus additions of Sector, Noob Saibot, and Serena. I wonder if anyone's actually made like a ROM hack to put all the characters in one game, or like a Mugen thing. If not, someone should, because that would be cool. It's like a little portable version of Deadly Alliance with all the content, but Tournament Edition is incomplete. Deadly Alliance is presumably the console version. Keep that out there. So, he's even trying to ease into it. Start off with one's working easy, put them into 2s and say, well, this one should go while this one shouldn't. The next question is classic MK. MK1, the game that started it all. Let's be real, it's not a very good game. It doesn't play that well, it's quite sluggish, it doesn't really hold up, and Also, funnily enough, the game is technically non-canon because the entire premise was completely reworked by MK2. MK1 technically isn't canonical because the series is about the tournament between Earthrealm and Outworld, not just a random tournament for Earthrealm and that's it. I mean, I don't think the term Earthrealm was even uttered in MK1. I don't think that term existed until MK2 when they introduced Outworld as a proper thing. So now we have my personal favourite, Deception. I imagine a lot of people would have expected me to put that in Keep right off the bat, along with 11 in Erase Forever. The same way I put Chronica in Erase Forever without even acknowledging it when I did the pretty much any time I've done a character roster duster or a waifu tier list. But you know, I wanted to keep things simple at first, keep it easy to track. So now there are 6 more, and what that means is 1 trilogy will count. It's not both as individual ones, so 1 will represent trilogy altogether. So that's how that's going to work. So I'll just remove that, and this will make things perfectly even. Very good. Very cool, very cool. So I also really like Armageddon. I know it's not as good as Deception. It has all the characters, and that's obviously cool and very cool. They also updated the combat a little bit with the aerial combat, which I didn't really care for personally. But you know, I think the actual conquest mode was really fun. Motor combat. The fact they've not brought back motor combat, puzzle combat, or chess combat tells you that the entire series has just completely gone downhill post 3D era. Yeah, I like Armageddon quite a bit. MK vs DCU. I know this is probably one of the more controversial ones, and it's not just me, you know, being like, oh, I'm going to get rid of all the NetherRealm games, haha, and just keep all the stuff that I can justify. I think MK vs DCU is actually pretty good. I mean, obviously, it's quite limited. It's got a very small roster, like, really, I would say unreasonably small, considering, you know, the caliber of the studio making it. It's not some indie fighting game where they have to draw all the characters, like every sprite or anything. They've got like 5 people working on it. So this was made after Armageddon, and then you come to this game, you got like 22 characters. That's a bit feeble. Maybe DC licensing costs were just ridiculous back then. I think the game was fine. It certainly plays better than fucking MK1. So this leaves us with MK2, the NetherRealm games, and then Trilogy and Mythologies. Okay. Now, this may shock you. Honestly, MKX is an okay game. It's a fine game in its own right. It's just that the story has a lot of problems, but I think the story has the least problems out of all the NetherRealm MKs. I think the only NetherRealm game that has less story problems than it is maybe Injustice 2, and possibly Injustice 1 because I have started to mellow out on the whole alternate universe versions that are just so different and just murder people and what have you. I mean, I still don't like it, but it's not as big a deal to me now, so my view on Injustice 1 might be a little lighter if I went back and like reevaluated it, but I can't be arsed. Who knows, maybe the animated movie will turn me around on Injustice. So there's room to keep 1 more, and the other 4 have to go. Okay, this is just confusing me because I keep seeing this and being like, oh, Trilogy, so no. Okay. The remaining ones are Sub-Zero, Trilogy, 2, 9, and 11. I'm going to say that I would keep... I mean, there's no reason to keep Trilogy... Oh, hold on. Fuck it. I'll get rid of Ultimate 3 and keep Trilogy. Because I know Trilogy had the extra characters, and yes, they were not really properly implemented. They were kind of bullshit. I don't care. I'm going to keep Trilogy because it has more content, which is one benefit, and it's also just a little bit more fun to me. You know, I played Trilogy quite a lot. You know, some people are like, arcade perfect emulation, bruh. And it's like, sure, but, you know, if you never played the arcade version, that doesn't really mean that much. Or if you at least if you didn't play it as much as this home console version. So, I assume what it's supposed to be is that this is the N64 version, and that's supposed to be the PlayStation version, because they do have different chameleons. That's my guess as to why they're both here. Because you don't really seem like the kind of mistake you would make, you know? But I suppose one could then say, well, what about Deadly Alliance and GBA version? Whatever. This leaves us now with 4 games, 1 gets to stay. So I'm going to say, well, let's get the obvious out of the way. Obviously, right? Like, nobody went into this on the assumption that I was going to say MK11 gets to stay. And, you know, spoiler alert for the critique, I don't like MK11. I have a lot of problems with it. This is going to be my longest critique thus far. So, you know, I'm not going to say how long it's going to be. I've got a guess as to how long it'll be, but I'm not going to say. That's for, you know, you guys can try and guess and figure it out. But I have hinted a bit on my Twitter. You know, if you don't follow me on Twitter, do that, because I don't use the community tab on YouTube. So if you want to get basic updates every now and then, do that. So like I said that the script was done. I was having updates on the scripting process, and that's all done. And you would know that if you followed me on Twitter, but you don't. Fuck you. Someone's going to take that seriously. This leaves these games. I think most people, if they're in this situation, would say, no, actually, don't. I think a lot of people would say MK9, but quite a few would also say MK2. I don't think anyone would say Mythologies. honestly. I can't think of anyone who would pick Mythologies over MK2 or MK9, except me, because... I'm not just trying to be controversial or anything. What Mythologies does for the story, the additional stuff, plus actually having Bihan be a character and not just "Mother would be so proud." It's nice for him to be an actual character. Think about that. Even like the films that have depicted him as a human, what character does he have other than in 2021 where he's like, "Hey, I want to kill your family for some reason." Like he's determined to wipe out the Hasashi bloodline, but no explanation is given. He just wants to do it. Like, yeah, I'll murder children. That'll help me. Fuck, dude. And MK2, I just don't like how it plays. Honestly, I don't really care for older MKs. I kind of kept Trilogy most out of obligation. Although I did enjoy Trilogy enough when I was younger, but as I got older, it's like I just don't think any MK pre Deadly Alliance really holds up that well. MK1 I think has kind of always been a bad game. If I'm frank. MK2, I think part of MK2 is that people just suck MK2 off so much. Basically, most people say the best one is MK2 or MK9, or if they have taste deception. But the thing about MK2 is, I'm kind of sick of the series just constantly going back to it, you know? MK2 specifically is the Star Wars original trilogy of MK. That's what everything always comes back to. That's why I've got an entire video that I'm working on about how the characters are depicted in the 4 different times we have been to that era of the story. It's ridiculous. So that's what I'm keeping. I would keep MK Trilogy, and MK Mythologies, and MK Gold, Deadly Alliance, for fuck's sake, Deadly Alliance, Deception, Shaolin Monks, Armageddon, DCU. So it's the 3D era, Trilogy, Mythologies, Gold, and XL. The one that has Predator. You know, the one where the Predator is a playable character, and not the game itself with its predatory. I'm not going to finish that joke because I might work it into the critique somewhere. Right, so I've done that. Now, you might be thinking, bruh, that's it. What else is there to do? Well, I'm going to try and be a little more fair here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to... Oh, you can't... Hang on. Yes! I took them out. Okay, so what I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to keep one version of each game to start. So now I can't just be like, well, I'll erase one version of MK3 and just keep another one. Like, this is going to be like the real shit. I have to get rid of, going to get rid of all those, all the twices and like the redos, all the enhanced versions. This one's going to be purely the actual games, There we go. So now I have to dust it this way. So, start with the obvious, I suppose. Keep Deception, drop 11. Keep Shaolin Monks, drop Special Forces. Keep Deadly Alliance, drop MK9, keep Armageddon, drop MK1. I'm trying not to be too attached to MK4 because I know that was my starting point with the series. I don't want to be too biased towards it. See, this is the tricky one. Well, I can drop 2, don't have a problem with that. I can drop 3 as well. That's why it's a shame that the arcade machine you can get is MK1, 2 and Ultimate 3. They didn't put 4 in there, which is fucking bullshit. But like, you get to the tournament stage in MK11, it's like, here's MK Shaolin Monks arcade machine, Deadly Alliance arcade machine. It's like, make those real, you fucking cowards, bitch ass. So yeah, so here's where it's getting a little tricky because I can't just give some of these games a free pass in. Like, remember, other than 4, which was replaced with Gold, all of these made it, but I can't do that. I can't just keep all of them. One of these has to go. Let me know in the comments what you think I'm going to get rid of first. Is it going to be MKXL, the NetherRealm era one? Is it going to be DCU, the one with the most limited roster? Is it going to be MK4? The game I already admitted I didn't really like all that much. Or will it be Mythologies, the adventure game that most people dislike anyway? Have you decided? Good, because I have not. I'm going to... Fuck, this is genuinely difficult. I was here just going to do a quick meme, and I've been recording for 20... Fuck, okay, let's try and get through this quicker. I'll keep XL. It has a decent amount of content, I suppose. Next, I will keep... Honestly, I think I would honestly say that MKXL is the best overall package of NetherRealm's entire output. Because while I don't think Injustice 2 was quite as offensive in terms of its story, there was fuck all doing it, and the way the gear stuff was done was like the customization was fucking horrific. So what am I gonna do? Help, please. Send an email to this web zone to help me out. I'll keep Mythologies. I think DCU is a better game overall, but I do have that attachment to MK4. And the series wouldn't really lose much if DCU was gone. I mean, it's not even canon, despite what Dominic Chancholo says. Dom, no, don't you fucking dare. Get rid of DCU, keep MK4. So, this is the true MK like tier list. Like, this is the real shit. You have Shaolin Monks, Mythologies, 4, Deadly Alliance, Deception, Armageddon, and Excel. Yeah, so basically it starts off at the end of MK1 and go through to the events of MK2. The events of Mythologies have already happened that lead into the tournament, which is the end of Shaolin Monks. Then Shao Kahn explodes and dies, and that's why he's not in MK4. There is no invasion of Earthrealm this time. That doesn't happen. And then Deadly Alliance happens, then Deception, Armageddon, and then a couple years after Armageddon, Shinnok's like, it's my time! And so he makes his return, and then like in MK Chronicles, MKX basically kind of happens after Armageddon. Ignore the continuity errors. You know, there's quite a few of them that don't really line up, but fuck it, you know. If the X-Men movies can get away with shit continuity, and the NetherRealm games can have shit continuity between themselves, fuck it, we can do it. So this is the official tier list. Anyone else says otherwise is dumb. I was actually considering doing this as just a normal tier list. I could have done, but I think this is basically just the same thing, but in my style. So, yeah, these are the better MK games. You have it's a fine one, but it has quite a few flaws. Not that good, kind of bad, definitely bad, really bad, infamously bad. Opinion coming soon.